So this week, there was a story in the news going around about these miners in Brazil. And there's some federal prosecutors there. They've opened an investigation into this bunch of miners, gold miners. Apparently illegal gold mining is a massive thing over there.
Like a mining miners, not underage miners.
Not underage ones who mine.
Not underage people made of gold.
Those who
Are the
mine.
miners underage though?
Probably not.
Okay.
They are senior miners. So these miners, they were overheard in a bar bragging about how they killed basically all these tribes people who they came across while they were out in the middle of nowhere doing their thing. So they were talking in a bar in Brazil, like on the border
Amazon, right?
in the Amazon, yeah. And they were bragging about how they killed like 10 of these people from this tribe, and like they had with them this paddle, this hand carved paddle that they took from the tribe, and they were going on about how they had to kill them or they would have killed us, and how they had to chop them up and throw them in the river so they wouldn't be found and all this stuff. But Brazil has very strict rules about these people because they're like an uncontacted tribe, because there's still a few of them out there who aren't like in contact with the
what does that mean?
modern world. They're self-sustaining. They're self-contained tribe.
They're an isolated tribe.
Isolated, untouched by
no contact with any other
no
civilization.
contact, just themselves.
I've heard that's a hoax though. Like when people actually went there, they all had like jeans and jackets and stuff.
I'm sure some might,
Yeah.
but there are real ones out
But it was
there.
like very much exaggerated, the uncontacted part.
Well,
But
some
go-
of them are described as actually being by like official sources,
yeah,
right?
some are legit. Like there are legit
Right.
uncontacted tribes out there. I'm sure there are some ones who are somewhere in the middle. So this is all going on in somewhere called the Javari Valley. It's
Ooh.
in West Brazil.
West side, best side.
And in this, there's like this big indigenous reserve. So you're not supposed to be mining there, and you're not supposed to like make contact with these people. You're supposed to just leave them alone. Brazil has like strict rules and government departments regulating this. So they're investigating these guys, and it's the second incident this year where people have apparently killed tribes people from there. And they were talking about killing like 10 people, and when it comes to these tribes, like because they're so self-contained and isolated, like it can even like they're like comparing it to genocide because they're so isolated. There's hardly any of them left.
They have to like estimate from like aerial surveys, right?
Yeah,
Because they can kind of. I saw pictures of villages from the sky, but it's like because they're uncontacted. I guess they can't go there and count everyone. So
they had the department. They have like bases set up like to protect and sometimes communicate with the tribes if they can, to say like you can stay here, like we won't not going to interfere with you or anything.
Right.
But apparently their funding has just been cut dramatically by the government, so they're unhappy. And the guy who's in charge says, like, how can we keep in control of all this if we don't have any Brazilian dollars? Anyway, so yeah, hopefully they'll get these guys.
So they got caught not because they found bodies, but because they were bragging about it in a pub or something.
In a pub,
right?
they were talking, and then someone heard and reported them, so now they're being investigated.
It seems like, well, I guess because there's a lot of poor people in Brazil, like who have no other alternative. There's a lot of illegal stuff that happens in the Amazon area, right? Because there's a lot of illegal farming and there's a lot of like mining as well. Is that, I don't know, does the government make that worse? Do they try and stop it, or?
To the illegal activities, like I'm sure they would be trying to, and like, but the department that's supposedly going after these guys, it's not a military force or even a police force. It's like a, I don't know. I guess it's almost like a parks.
But the
like
police
they're
is
just trying to,
the police is in charge of it now, right?
of the investigation, yeah.
Right.
And they didn't find bodies, but they said there is lots of evidence. But they were in the bar. They were talking about how they chopped them up, and so they would sink
Put them in the...
threw them in the river. And I guess there's piranhas.
So how are they allowed to investigate it though?
How are they allowed to investigate?
Like, how are they able to investigate it? Wouldn't that involve coming into contact with those tribes?
No, the ones who are.
Do you reckon that would take priority over it?
Dead.
Like, if they could figure out, maybe there's some survivors here, would they go to them?
I
try and find out what happened?
I don't think so. I think they're going for other things, like the crime scene and like the.
It's very hard to know the specifics on this one.
Yeah.
When it's all kind of hearsay, right?
Yeah. So they're opening the investigation. I'm sure we'll find out down the road.
But the guys that were bragging about this, that were in the bar, have they been arrested? Have they been identified, or?
They can't arrest them.
They can't arrest them. They're investigating them.
Yeah.
Okay. But they have been identified. And
Yes.
they know who they are.
Yeah.
It's just now trying to build a case.
Yeah.
So the prosecutor person said there's lots of evidence. We just have to bring it all together and find the proof and prove what they've done.
Having said that, though, I've come into contact with a few, people that have been in isolation.
You have?
Yeah. Well,
What?
I
That's
spent
against the
some.
law.
No, it wasn't against the law. I got taken there by locals. So
Right.
once,
Stop hitting the table.
My apologies.
It sounds like an earthquake in the sound.
All right,
Yeah.
I will stop making earthquakes. No, once in Asia, I got taken up this crazy mountain, and we met some village people
In Asia? Where
in Asia, in northern Thailand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so there was these people that live on top of this mountain. They very rarely leave the top of the mountain. They self-sustainable.
The monks?
They're not monks. They just villagers. And they saw me. They were like, first time seeing a person of color, with this hair, and they were like in awe. And I was like,
Did they touch your
wow,
hair?
this is how it feels. Absolutely. Well, a few of them just stood and didn't react. They didn't know how to react or respond. And
That's not that uncommon a reaction in Asia, though.
Yeah.
I was in
Yeah.
China and it seemed pretty similar.
I don't think you need to go to Asia to get that reaction.
They thought you were different. They didn't just
Go
think
to
you were an
Queensland.
NBA player.
Of course not. I'm not sure. I don't think they knew what NBA was or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
That's cool.
Well, they say
Yeah,
there's
very cool.
there's around 100 uncontacted tribes left out there
In the world.
in the world, mostly in South America.
There'd be a bunch in the Amazon, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So mostly there. They say there's like 77 in Brazil, a bunch in Peru, a few in Vietnam, India, and
Yeah,
New
India
Guinea.
has
New
some.
Guinea.
Yeah.
India has some off an island, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which is
Mhm.
part of India. And during the big tsunami in 2004, was it?
yes,
2003?
Yep.
2001.
The tsunami?
Oh, that was in Thailand.
I think you're thinking of the September 11th thing. Anyway,
2004.
during the Boxing Day tsunami, they couldn't figure out, like, they didn't know what the damage was in these islands, and they went to like go see, and I think the tribesmen threw spears at them or something
Jeez.
when they approached, so they just left, I guess.
They were fine after
As
the
they
tsunami.
should.
Mm-hmm. But I love these. Well, not this story, but I love the fact that there are uncontactable tribes. I have a big sense of, I feel like these people will be here long after us. Their tribes, because they've lived through, even though they have, we would look at them and say, oh, you have very basic,
Life.
life functionals or whatever, systems in place and things like this. They've managed to live through all of world wars, all of whatever diseases, sicknesses that have wiped out other nations and people groups and all the rest of it. And they're here today. And they live in harmony with each other. They're not killing each other off. However, if we look at our societies, we are... we barely know our neighbours, or...
You don't really know what their life expectancy is, though.
You don't think we should go and give them medicine?
I think they are alright. They're doing alright. Well, it's an opinion. I don't know, right?
I don't know.
It works as long as no one gets integrated into it, right? Because that's how sickness gets in.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, we'd probably bring.
We'll
diseases.
introduce stuff that are
And
So
I'm
we
sure
got
we'd
all the-
kill them off.
catch things from them. So.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
it's more the other way around because
Yeah, it's
we
more
got
the
all
other way
the
around.
we got all the antibodies. Is that the right word? To all the
We've-
bad stuff.
We've been exposed to a much wider range of things, so the chances
Oh,
are
yeah.
we'd introduce
A
it.
wider gamut.
Incubated.
Mm.
Right.
There you go.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's none left in Australia, unfortunately.
Uncontacted groups.
In
You don't know
1999, okay.
You been everywhere, man?
I have. They have. I've been
Don't
everywhere,
believe
man.
everything the government tells you.
The Pintupi people, we found them in 1984.
Well, they're the last ones in Australia.
That's what I have
So
read
they say.
on the internet.
Where were they?
They were in the Gibson Desert in Western Australia.
Nice.
Really? 1980? That's pretty
That's pretty
recent.
recent, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they
pretty
were
cool.
living out there.
That must have been
And
amazing.
then, do they still exist today?
I'm sure they do, but not. They're not uncontacted. They're not isolated.
Hmm.
They've been westernized.
Well,
Unconfirmed. I cannot.
Hopefully not.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's sad that we can't just get along with people, but
Toads.
Well, I think, like you were saying, you reckon they'll outlast us, but I feel like we're
coming for 'em.
running. It's only a matter of time before that happens again. Like,
Yeah.
people are cutting down big swathes of the Amazon to make farmland because
Mm.
beef is in such high demand that they need farmland and crops to grow it and all that stuff.
Should
And
go vegan.
yeah, probably. It would suck for everyone though if the Amazon actually did get degraded
Seriously.
because there's a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome stuff.
Yeah, they don't even know there's like plant species. That
It's
you
just
don't
like
see.
Avatar.
And it's
What if
the
the next
lungs
chocolate
of the
is
earth,
there?
right?
What if the next chocolate is there? What if
They-
something better than chocolate is in the Amazon right
I'm
now?
sure it is. Like people.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Chocolate people?
Oh, gosh.
Nice.
Nice.
Not nice.
Yeah.
So,
Sad.
Speaking of chocolate people,
uh,
Jono,